Outsmart micromanagement and achieve your goals. How, and I do mean how, to claim back your independence at work. If you're new to the channel, I go by the name of ED. For you smart and intelligent folks out there, we'll just make it simple and plain. That just simply means Ed. Today's episode is entitled Powerful Techniques to Overcome Micromanagement and Thrive. How come I want to do like a Superman, and just thrive? Again, powerful techniques to overcome micromanagement and thrive. I have an 8-point framework. What the point is here in this 8-point framework is to unpack. I do mean unpack, meaning like take out the luggage on a, okay, no, seriously, unpack today's title. I hope you enjoyed. Put on your seatbelt, family, because this is going to be an enjoyable ride. I have 2 quotes. First quote being by Carl Jung. The world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you. That has a lot to do with micromanagement. Here's another one if you don't like that one. Fighting with someone standing in your way is time taken away from your intent. Step around them and go about your business. This is an actual comment I read off of a video, and the commenter name was No Bozo. I don't know what the name, but it was an excellent quote. You mind if I share a story with you? I remember the first time I've ever got micromanagement. I actually put it in this book here too. The Magnetic Project Manager. If you don't have a copy, go pick you up a copy of this. What are you waiting for? This book is going to be a classic. I hate for you to be too late to pick it up. But again, the Magnetic Project Manager. And I'll give you a high level of that story. What happened was, family, is that I had a particular manager that was going to a leadership meeting. That manager asked me, "Hey, could you give me a readout of all of the projects that you're working on?" In my mind, I'm like, "Well, you get that. We just met on a one-on-one, or normally you get that anyway." Like it was a weird request, and I started noticing, like once you start noticing certain things when someone tries to micromanage you. So I was just like, oh man, I'm about to get micromanaged. And sure enough, I ended up getting micromanaged, and I had to make a decision. And that decision was, let's get into the 8-point framework. First point, develop a trust contract. Listen, I know that sounds weird. Like, what do you mean, ED? Develop a trust contract. We're talking actionable steps here. Write up a trust contract that includes specific actions from both parties will undertake to ensure autonomy is respected, and review it together periodically. Listen, I always say this, and you're going to hear this echoed throughout the whole video today, is that a lot of times we confuse certain expectations. See, frustration comes from expectations. We have a certain expectation of how we want our manager to lead us, and sometimes we don't articulate that back to the manager or to the leader, and then we're wondering why they're micromanaging everything that we're doing, instead of having. That's why I love this, of creating a trust contract. This allows us to go visit this. I would say visit this every quarter, or every quarter would work, to see where everyone's at. Because as you'll see, as I navigate through the remaining 7 points here, there's some key things here that will help make this trust contract very relatable, and why it will truly work for you. And listen, in this trust contract, if you want to be able to outline the key word is expectations, because if we can understand what the expectations from the manager, then and they can understand our expectation, we'll be able to work together better than we would if we don't have a set of expectations for each other. Again, family, I really truly appreciate you guys watching. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button for more personal development and, of course, project management stuff. We send out a bi-weekly newsletter. We also have a free group, the Magnetic Project Manager. You can find that I'll pin that into the comments as well. This is a group for like-minded individuals that are looking to get into project management, or are already in project management and would like to know more. This is for like-minded individuals. So get in while it is free. Eventually we will turn to more of a paid option, because I want to be able to protect the group, and I don't want anybody in there that is not going to be able to contribute and provide value. Let's move on. Point number 2. Create a micromanagement fund. Ooh, I love this one. So you remember I remember when I was working at this one place, we had a swear jar. Don't judge us. Don't judge us. Not saying I was the one swearing. I'm just saying this is what we had. We had a swear jar, and the whole purpose when my manager put this in place, I think she was being funny at first, but then she noticed how the swear jar was collecting a lot of money. And the purpose of the swear jar, I mean, it created humor, number one. But number two, it really raised awareness. You got to see how, my mom and well, actually, it was my father who really shared this with me. This point, it was just like sometimes when someone just cusses repeatedly over and over when they're through a conversation, that means they can't find the right words. Ooh, I like that, Dad. I love what you were talking about there. But the point of what he was trying to say, if you mind if I unpack that, is that hey, we're not perfect. Yeah, we're gonna cuss. We may swear this and that, but do we have to do it through the whole conversation, especially in a professional environment, that we can't have a professional conversation about it? Now, there's a time and place for everything. Right now, we need to be in a professional manner. What if a client was in here? Would you have that same ideology of how you speak and talk? So again, this swear sort of like a swear jar. Basically, if you said a one of those words that were outlined in that particular swear jar, we had the no judge. As I'm thinking about it, it's just so funny to me. But we actually had on the jar certain words that were, if they were cuss words, they were said. And we also use common sense. Everyone knows what a cuss word is. So if we heard it, hey man, you owe $1, or hey, that's $5 right there, and we set particular baselines, and the money that we collected from the swear jar, we either went and did a team activity or we went and did a donation. And what would be funny is that when we would go and do a team activity, and if it was somebody that really contribute, excuse me, to the swear jar, was like, hey, this activity is on Jerry. Everybody thank Jerry for a great dinner out. So and Jerry, he would, and this again, this takes a team of people that understand we are not making fun of you. What we're saying is we want to set a certain expectation. We want to be exceptional. And sometimes the only way to get people to listen at times is through their pocketbook or their wallet, I should say, either one of those. And the whole purpose was to grow as individuals. So again, actionable step: introduce. If you're virtual, create a virtual jar, and basically explain the purpose of it in the meetings. And anytime you're getting micromanaged, hey, I need to get X amount in this jar. All right, let's move on to point number 3. I'll drain that enough. Implement a no oversight project. Okay, what does that mean? Now, this right here, it takes I mean, like, you truly got to trust your team on this, especially as a project manager. How it works is you draft up a proposal with the team, outlining the project, its boundaries, and basically rationing no oversight and promising a detailed report upon completion. So one of the things, I mean, a lot of key factors of what I love about Scrum is it's self-organizing. That's one of I mean, there's so many features and benefits that I love about it, but one of the biggest things I really truly love is self-organizing, meaning here's the work team, go and do the work and keep us updated and keep us involved and engaged. If we need to collaborate, let's make it happen. But I always recommend starting on maybe a low list type task to do this, something that won't have a great risk to the project, so you can constantly build that momentum. See, it's about building trust over time. Like, you can't just give someone to give the whole list of milestones and tasks to the team and say, all right, here you go, I'm gone. No, 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 no. It takes time. So you have to build that over time. And over time, your team will definitely trust you and you guys will grow together. Point number 4, initiate a role reversal. Message. Anytime I say message, if you don't know and you're new, that basically means this is something you want to listen to. This is something you want to clue in. This is where you want to open up both of your ears and pay attention to what we're about to say here, because you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So here we go. Organize a day, or maybe a day and a half a day, where you and your manager swap out tasks. followed by a debrief session to discuss insights and lessons learned. See, this is what it's done, and I've shared this before. A lot of people say, "Oh, if I was that leader, I would be doing this. If I was that manager, I would be doing this." And then you put them in that position, and now you have, I like this. It just came to me. Now you're sitting in the back seat, moving to the front seat of the driver's seat, and now it's a little bit different. You see, when you are in the back seat, you could be playing with your phone, you could be reading a book, you can be doing all sort of things. But now when you're in that driver's seat, now you have to lock in. Now you have to pay attention to everything because you don't want to your other passengers that are riding along with you anything to happen to them. So now your focus has changed, and now that your focus has changed, now you understand why the leader or manager has to make certain decisions. And see, I think this is good. I wish we did more of this because now it gives that person a perspective that it help them understand when a leader or manager is giving them a directive. They say, oh, okay, I understand. See, we're so busy saying, do as I do, not as I say. Oh, wait a minute, let's reverse that. I mean, do as I say, not as I do. You know, I told you my mom used to say that, and that used to irritate me because it didn't really hold value. I'm watching what you're doing, and I'm like, well, I'll just model that. Instead of paying attention to the whole fact of when you're saying something to me and then you're doing the exact opposite of what you're saying, it creates a confusion of there's a contradiction between the two. So family, is important that when we look at this is that doing I call it switch, basically just a role reversal. And a manager, a leader who's out there, don't think you do a whole day. Maybe you do a couple tasks and say, okay, here, you're responsible for these tasks, tell me how you would do it, and actually allow them to go through it and feel what that feels like. Because see, it's nothing like when you get a feeling to see what that feels like. I don't know why I'm so heavy on this micromanage. It seems like this has never happened to me. No, this has happened to me plenty of times. This is why I can speak to this topic until I'm blue in the face and I'm black, and you already know. So anyway, I digress. Let's move on. Point number 5, reverse feedback sessions. Reverse feedback sessions. What does that look like? See, organize a quarterly reverse feedback session. What this looks like. Now, see, this is hard a lot of times to do a reverse feedback session because a lot of people are nervous to give their leader or manager feedback because of the consequences that may come with it, or perceived consequences that may come with it. You know, the fear of retaliation. If I'm honest with you and say, well, hey, what the way that you were talking in that meeting, it made me feel uncomfortable, and this is the reason why, and I would love if we can have one-on-ones to talk about my career. So it can make a leader or manager feel uncomfortable. But if you plan on developing a career, you have to learn how to have these uncomfortable conversations, especially as a project manager. As a project manager, you go up and down the ladder as far as from executives all the way down to just up and down. When I say up and down the ladder, let me unpack that because I want to be clear. All the way up to executive, all the way down to somebody that may not be in a management role. And so you have to understand how to communicate. And sometimes, especially dealing with executives, they want it directly, they want it straight. Don't leave out the fluff, leave out the filtering. We need to know what's going on so we can figure out how to fix this, because the longer you babble on, it's not going to help us. So again, family, doing reverse feedback, I love that because it gives both sides an opportunity, because you're getting your feedback, whether it's a 6 month or end of year review. So why not you guys understand each other so you guys can grow together? I don't know what happened to us both learning from each other. All right, let's move on to point number 6. One of my favorites is called office hours, scheduled office hours. And reason why I love scheduled office hours, where a leader will say, okay, I'm going to open up my calendar from 1 to 3. And basically how it works is that anybody, I don't care who it is, you can book up to 15 minutes per session. If we need to go longer, then, and no one's booked time, then I'll open up that spot. See, we used to have this thing called open door policy. But with an open door policy, there was never availability sometimes of the leader or manager because they got so busy in the day to day. And so now being able to block off that time and say, no, this is for my team. And I want to make sure that I'm there for my team. So blocking off a 2 hour or 1 hour block, depending on how big your team is, and saying, hey, come in here and we're going, this is a safe place. We're going to talk openly and we're going to figure out how I can help you, or if there's something you need me to move an impediment or whatever that thing is. Because if I'm a leader and I don't know what's going on with my direct report and I lose a great resource or great resources, I'm going to be frustrated when they leave and they say, well, we never had a chance to have a conversation because of X, Y, and Z. I'm going to be disappointed in myself because I didn't make myself available. So there's accountability on me, but it's also accountability on my direct reports as well to to get me involved and have the courage to know there is no retaliation. Again, I'll say that, no retaliation. Let's move on to point number 6. Oh, that was point. Excuse me. Let's move on to point 7. Build trust through consistency. Oh, I love that. See, you have to build trust through consistency by being able to deliver on small project tasks ahead of schedule, and go above and beyond to make sure that the quality is really, I mean, the quality that you're delivering on the project is extremely well. This is a true actionable step, because what happens is reason why a lot of times micromanagement happens is because the trust that that leader or manager had during a previous instinct, whether at another company or whether with another team, and they wanted to trust that team, but they weren't consistent on what they were doing. They being the team wasn't consistent on what they were delivering, so it created a mistrust, and with that mistrust, it turned into micromanagement. All right, let's move on to point number 8. Organize management awareness workshops. See, that's one of the things too, family. We have to be able to create a organized workshop that focus on trust, autonomy, and collaborative management techniques. What I would recommend is getting a facilitator that will be the one that's facilitating this. This way, it will be easier for the direct report and the manager or the leader to listen to the feedback that they're actually given. Let me give you a bonus here, family. Bonus number 1: empower your team. What I mean by that, identify tasks and projects where your team can take full ownership and gradually increasing their complexity, the complexity as the team demonstrates competency. And my last and final bonus, because I want to over deliver today, seek clarification on expectation. As I told you and I stated before, a lot of times frustration comes from what? A lack of expectation, a lack of understanding the expectation, a lack of, well, I thought this was what you wanted expectation. Oh, I like that. We need to just create a debrief of outlining what are the objectives, what are the deliverables, the timeline. What are you expecting of me in this particular role, so I can understand that how I can deliver it, so there's not a need for you to micromanage me. Family, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm very passionate about micromanagement. I push against micromanagement. I will give you my caveat here, meaning that my comma, I should say, in a sense, is that sometimes you do need to micromanage a team, but if you have to micromanage a team, you understand that this team may not be for you. This team may not be aligned with what you want to do, because you never want to get in a space where you're trying to control everything. I know as project managers, we want to believe we're controlling everything, but there's a lot of things we need to let go and allow that team to do what they do exceptionally well. There's nothing wrong with verifying. There's a difference between verifying and being a micromanager. Verifying is saying, you said you were going to deliver this by this date. Hey, I'm sending you a reminder, and I'm sending a follow-up to also on top of that the next day to say, hey, this is where it was due. Where is it at? So understand the difference, because sometimes we'll get caught up in the whole thinking of, well, I must be micromanage someone because I'm sending them a reminder, or I'm sending, follow up after follow up. No, you're not micromanaging. You're following up on a task that someone said that we're going to deliver on a certain date and time, and you need to ensure that they delivered that. Until next time, be your boy AD. You know my motto. You know my slogan. If you don't, it's easy. Until next time.